And what are the upfront costs for new makeup artists who want to get into film and TV? What do they need to know, the out-of-pocket expenses, just to get ready to start knocking on doors?
Well, I will admit that, that's one area that spending the money really does make a difference, and a higher quality product, it might be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to give you a better result in the end. So it could be easily thousands of dollars sometimes. But to get started, I think that just a small selection of some really good things is probably the best way to go.
And what sort of pitfalls do new makeup artists need to avoid?
Well, I think it's a really good idea to be as well-rounded as possible. I mean, unless you're wanting to specifically go into the fashion and print type of industry, it's really good idea to know be able to do some special effects, be able to do some all different types of things, because you never know what you might be asked to do.
What advice do you give to someone who's really considering this as a full-time career?
Well, I think it's a really good idea to do a lot of research and know exactly where you're going, which touched on a little bit of what I said earlier. You pick a school and go and visit it. It doesn't really matter how far away it is. It's worth going and visiting first before you spend that money, because you can get there and it may not be exactly what you thought it was going to be. So schooling and education is absolutely a must in these days. And then again, as we said earlier, with the cosmetic counters, a lot of those places, the cosmetic companies give a really good instruction to at least get you started, to get you moving in the right direction.
Are there specific products designed for film and TV?
There are a lot of companies that make products specifically for the film and television industry. They tend to have a very high pigment, so they cover really well with a very little amount of product. But they also tend to be a little bit more expensive. So that's one of those things where that might be something you want to move into later as you get more experienced.
After the break, Bryan explains what actors should do before they come into the makeup chair. Stay with us. You're watching Below the Line. With us is makeup artist Bryan Reynolds. What should actors do to prepare their face before they come into the makeup trailer?
Well, it's always a good idea to make sure that you have a good solid moisturizer and SPF on for the day. A little bit of eye cream is always a good thing, and a little bit of something on the lips is a good thing also. That way your skin is already prepared, it's had time to absorb in, and it's ready and prepared for makeup.
Airbrush technology, we've seen it for years for t-shirts and other clothing, hats, but now they've figured out a way to put makeup into an airbrush kit. What is that, and have you worked with it?
Yes, that's actually something I work with on a regular basis. It's in an ideal situation, it's usually my preferred way of applying a foundation for women. And the nice thing about it is that you can't see any lines. It's very quick. The only downside to it is going to be that oftentimes the compressors have to be plugged in, so you need electricity. But they've gotten around that too. There's battery-operated versions now too.
What are some great ways to get your name out there so people know who you are and that you are available for work?
Well, I do a good bit of using Facebook and Twitter together. A lot of people use Facebook to contact their Aunt Selma in Arkansas, but you can also use it and flip that around and use it in a completely different way. Find out who the producers are that you're trying to get in with. Find out who the directors are. Contact them directly. These days, they're a lot more attainable and a lot more willing to talk to you than they used to be.
I know you're very busy. What do you have coming up next?
Well, I've got a couple things coming up next, and two feature films, and then also I have a makeup blog which is called Behind the Makeup, and it's actually from the artist's point of view, showing you exactly how they did all the kinds of things in Clash of the Titans and whatever movies that are coming out.
Well, great. Thank you so much for coming, Bryan, and wish you all the best in your career, and keep us posted on all the great things and new makeup tips and all that.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Coming up next, we'll meet a special effects makeup artist who creates bite marks, stab wounds, and all sorts of ghoulish things for film and TV. We're back in a moment. My next guest got into makeup a little differently. He creates special effects makeup for the film and TV industry and Halloween. Please welcome special effects makeup artist Martin Berry. Hey, Martin, how are you? Great, Your introduction to special effects makeup isn't the normal route. What do you do for a day job?
I'm a clinical affairs and regulatory affairs manager for a medical device company.
So that obviously means special effects makeup.
Obviously.
No, seriously, how did you get into all this?
Well, when I graduated college and started working in my field, I needed something to do with my nights, so I started picking up working at haunted houses, and I was fortunate enough to fall into a Netherworld haunted house in Atlanta, and when I fell in with them and started scaring people, I got curious about the makeup department and asked them to teach me everything they knew, and they did it.
Did you think it would lead to a career, or was it just something for fun you were doing?
It was something for fun when I started, and since then I've just been looking for ways to expand it and spend more time doing it, and maybe even get away from the day job and start doing this as a regular thing.
So how did all of that prepare you for the film and television industry?
Well, the people at Netherworld that taught me they're TV and film veterans anyway. So when they were teaching me, okay, here's how you make a scar, they were also teaching me, here's how you're going to make up a reporter, in case you have to do one for a film. Or here's how you're going to get this look, that look. We went over hundreds of looks, everything from gruesome and gory to clean and tidy.
Now, what is your specialty in learning all this stuff? In the beginning, what did you like to do?
I love making zombies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the undead's the most fun.
Why is that?
It's because there's so many variations on a theme. You have the pale skin and you have the veins popping out and you have the basics, but then you can put holes on people anywhere. It's really fascinating.
Tell me about the studio where you create all these. You have a home studio, right?
I do. It's in my attic. It's just a little hardwood floor space, not even heated. It's surrounded by scrap doors that I'm eventually going to use for a haunted house, and I've got everything up there, everything from my cotton and latex to silicone and all my molds and everything that I'm going to make and create and make the next great big monster.
And what are your secret projects that you're working on, or can you say?
I can say I've come up with a mold for a person with broken glass in their face, and then some of the newer stuff will be for a project that's coming up soon. I'll be doing makeup for a movie that's going to take a shot at the ghost hunter type of reality shows, and at the same time it's going to have a cursed Civil War background zombie ghoul thing happening to it. There's a lot of detail in that one.
Yeah, that seems very interesting. So, do you like scaring people?
I sure do.
Why?
It's pretty much the reaction that gives you that payoff. When the first time you ever work in a haunted house, the first time you pop out on somebody and you get that scream, you get the big eyes and their heart's racing, yours races a little bit too. It's like a little adrenaline feedback.
Coming up next, find out how Martin creates contusion, stab wounds, and mangled arms. You're watching Below the Line with George Peroulas. You're watching Below the Line with George Peroulas. With us is Martin Barry, a special effects makeup artist. Now, Martin, what happens? The phone rings. It's a producer, a director. They want you to gore things up. What happens next?
I'll ask them first for a copy of the script, and once I review the script, I'll pull out all the pieces where I think they're going to need kind of gory, kind of bloody to super gory, super bloody to some super massive effect that they've written for themselves. Some of them write themselves into a corner. Some of them keep a continuing flow where you're getting lots of gunshots, lots of arms ripping off, lots of stuff that's okay to pull off. And then there's always the guy that writes the $10,000 effect in there, and you're going, okay, you're gonna have to cut away from this 5 times. But after that, then I'll get back with them and point out, okay, here's my chart of everything that I think you're gonna need for the film. This is what things are gonna cost, and I'm willing to work with any budget. And it's just a matter of, are we using molded silicone bone or resin bone, or are we using white wood from Home Depot?